1947 to 1991, I would say, was the first phase of the startup ecosystem in India. At that point of time, the entire process was one of licenses and controls. Anyone who created profits were considered not very good, and industries were highly, highly regulated, almost in a very dysfunctional way. It took a very long time to take decisions, and the economy grew at 3% and pejoratively called the Hindu rate of growth. I think 1991 forced us to take some very difficult and bold steps, and reforms were initiated. And Y2K as an opportunity, was quite serendipitous. And India capitalized on the Y2K opportunity and the huge availability of low-cost English-speaking workforce to create a strong services economy. And India's services economy is probably, today at this point of time, it's about $300 billion in terms of, revenue. And several large companies have emerged out of this Y2K. For example, you have TCS, which is almost $150 billion in terms of valuation. Infosys is plus $100 billion. So a large number of very great companies, iconic companies got created during this process. But they still solved problems of the Western world. They really did not address problems of India. 2008, I think, changed in things in a very fundamental way. A lot of factors began coming together. And one I've always said also was Your Story and Flipkart were two events that happened in 2008. Flipkart got set up and Your Story began writing about the startup ecosystem. Both these things were actually quite amazing, and the turning point began happening there. So a lot of companies from that phase also began to emerge. So companies that you see now, whether it's a Zomato or a Flipkart, or any company that you can think of, whether it's a big basket, many of them emerged from that phase. But the thing is that these companies also addressed only the top 70 to 100 million consumers in the socio-economic pyramid. They did not touch the middle of the pyramid. So 2016 onwards, I would say 16, 17 is when companies really realized that, technological breakthroughs have happened, whether they are in Aadhaar, whether they are in UPI, they're allowing us to help address problems of the 400 million Indians. Those problems were always difficult to address because the price points were low and these customers were distributed, broken down by language, by region, by multiple complexities in the customer segmentation were there. But technological breakthroughs, I think, began helping address some of these problems and companies began getting created. And I think as Sri Lodha was saying, eventually India will have to go to a stage where there is mass entrepreneurship, where, there will be micro entrepreneurs, people giving jobs to 5 other individuals. India is not going to be able to create jobs through these unicorns. Unicorns become, in terms of valuations, a lot of capital intensity is involved in creating these companies, and India can't afford this kind of capital. So eventually, micro entrepreneurship in some ways is the way out. We have to figure out how that is going to play out. I think all of us have a role to play in shaping this, creating employment. 15 million jobs India needs to create, every year. And none of the established industries, companies, whether they are new age startups or they were old established companies, can create 15 million reasonably well-paying jobs. The only way out is mass entrepreneurship and micro entrepreneurs. So at some point of time, I think all of us will have to begin touching that. It's a passion for all of us at Artha. Me personally, very, very passionate about going down to, the smaller towns. I still don't have a clear idea how you can create these jobs. How do you do all of this? Because it's a hard problem to solve. But hard problems are always exciting for people who are looking for challenges. So we are very keen to work with the government of Maharashtra, working in rural areas, working in tier 3, tier 4 towns, and seeing, how we can, give a boost to the ecosystem here. With this, I'll thank once again Sri Manisha ji, Dr. Ramaswamy, and Siju and his team also. Siju and his team have been amazing. They've always treated us like stakeholders and never as a vendor, with a lot of respect. So thankful to all of you as well.
Thank you, Hari, for your kind words, and thanks for running us through the journey of startup ecosystem since inception till date. And we are sure with your support, we will be able to reach not only to tier 1 cities, but tier 2 and tier 3 cities as well.
So we continue with the speakers since they are online.
Okay. So with a great pleasure, I would like to invite Srimati Chetna Gala, who is a chairperson and founder of Mandeshi Foundation. She will be guiding us and briefing about how women in rural India turn courage into a capital. With her expertise and experience, how on the National Startup Day, how we will be able to achieve these goals to reaching out to the rural India. So I request Srimati Chetna ma'am to guide the audience.
Namaskar. Honorable Minister Mangal Prabhaji Lodha, Principal Secretary Manisha Verma Madam, Commissioner for Innovation Society Dr. Ramaswamy, Mr. Hari, and Shraddha. So nice to see you. It's always pleasure. सबसे पहले तो आई एम रियली थैंकफुल दैट मैम यू इनवाइटेड मी टू स्पीक हियर एंड शेयर माय एक्सपीरियंसेस and also this is again an opportunity to meet some amazing people here on the in the meeting. But the another thing which I really appreciate, ma'am, is that on the startup day today we are celebrating a startup day, but as Mr. Hari mentioned that we hear or we read in the newspapers about startup, and those are like unicorns and exactly in capital intensive startup, right? But we hardly hear the stories of startups which are actually going on in tier 4 cities, in villages, where people have no choice but to become an entrepreneur. And when they become entrepreneur, not by the choice, but there is no alternative. I want to do job, but there is no availability, and I become entrepreneur. And with that, when I become entrepreneur, and then the challenges I face and address, I think those entrepreneurs have lot of things to share for us to learn the lessons. So ma'am, I'm so thankful that you have given me an opportunity, but I'll be sharing the lessons I have learned from women in the villages of India who set up their micro enterprise. I mean, yes, startup is a very fashionable word, but their micro enterprise, and what are the lessons which they learn, what are the lessons which I learned, and what are the lessons which bank learns, what are the lessons which government learns from them. And I would share some of the example in my very brief talk. So let me start with one of the lady in Khatau Taluka, Parvati, who is running today a dal mill and actually producing 600 kg of dal every day in a very remote village, not in a city, in Khatau Taluka, where the Taluka place is more than 35 kilometers. She was grinding dal and selling dal. She actually went to the bank nearest and she wanted a loan to, instead of having a hand pound grinder which she had, but she wanted to buy a dal mill. And she said that I want to set up this business, and I was part of SHG, but I want to now do my individual business, and so I want a loan. Though she didn't get the loan, but that's fine. And then actually somehow I am so lucky that we were able to meet, and then we thought that she should get a loan to set up the dal mill. But I was so surprised to see that what homework she had made. Number one, who are the buyers of my dal? Number two, she knew that. Number two, from where am I going to procure the pulses? She knew that. Number three, what am I going to do with the waste which comes after producing the dal? And she had a solution for everything. When I saw that, I decided that it is so important that if anybody has to set up any small enterprise, that person has to do this market survey or need assessment, whatever words you use. But whatever business I am going to set up, from every part of that business and every activity of that business, I am going to make the money. And I think that was such a big lesson for us, and we designed a Deshi MBA course for our women, that if you really want to set up a business, you have to have how from the beginning to the end where my product goes to the market, what would be the whole chain, what would be the whole journey, where are the gaps, how am I going to make money on that. I'm so proud to share with you this story of Parvati, that when she went to buy a dal mill machinery, the vendor told her that you will not be able to run the machine. You get your husband and then I will sell it. She had money. She was telling, I want to buy it. But still the vendor was telling her that. And she said, I am going to run the machine, not my husband. But still the vendor was saying that. Ma'am, why I'm sharing this also is that when women take a decision to set up the business, it's not that they don't get capital, but all other ecosystem, they have to face that challenge where everybody from their family, they are going to say, business चालू कर रही हो, बघ हं, पण काय तोटा झाला तर तुझ्या बापाकडनं आणायचे ते पैसे इथून नाही भेटणार. बिझनेस चालू कर रहे हो, मशीन बिघडलं तर मी नाही येणार. सो फॅमिली टेल्स दॅट, मार्केट टेल्स दॅट, आणि माल शिल्लक राहिलं तर तू बघायचं, यू हॅव टू सेल. So at every point she faced those challenges, she addressed that, and I'm so proud that today not only Parvati but she has become a person who take other women to buy the machinery to that vendor and tell him that I have run that business successfully. While sharing this, what I'm trying to say very humbly is that we have a population of entrepreneurs who face so many challenges, but they don't they don't even like think of taking their steps back. So I feel that when we are talking about the startups, the most important part, particularly when we are talking about women-owned enterprise, the most important part is where are the areas where they need to have a confidence and courage, where are the areas where they will have to get the capital, and where are the areas where they will need a market. Now, these are the areas where we have to address. And Mandeshi, through Mandeshi, we have been doing that, but it's not about Mandeshi. It's like either it is FICCI, either it is CII, there are so many platforms in our country who are running. We have to create those ecosystems, and we are creating. I'm again very proud to share with you that once these women-owned enterprise or these enterprises which are led by first generation, when their products come out, today on the startup day, what should we do? I feel that the most important part is to celebrate their enterprise, to celebrate their product. And I'll now share another story of Savita Pavnikar. She's in Pune. Ma'am, you met her when you came to Mumbai Mahotsav. She is making t-shirts and t-shirts for kids and the uniforms. Now, when she started her business, and actually it was totally dependent on, she was making a school uniforms. But then she started thinking that what is it that if my dress, if whatever I produce, the person who wears should feel proud of it. So then she thought that, okay, why can't I be a lady Nike? And then she started making t-shirt. And she said that I sweat for my love. I run, I sweat, and I sweat for my love. And she made the t-shirts for the kids or for the young teenagers, girls and boys both. And then because she had a business in Pune, we could tie up with MDOC, MasterCard, Vodafone, all these companies, that their sports people should wear her t-shirt and bring the pride. Everybody likes to wear a t-shirt of Nike logo, right? So Savita created a branding, and she had her own logo that I love to sweat. And then with that logo, the company people also felt that we are giving business to startup. So I do feel that on the startup day, it is so important that you create that celebration of our women-led enterprise. We are using their product. We are proud of that. भारत की स्वतंत्रता के 75 साल मनाते वक्त मुझे अभिमान होता है कि मैं इन महिलाओं के प्रोडक्ट इस्तेमाल कर रही हूं जो भारत में महिलाओं को जॉब्स क्रिएट करती हैं. So I think that is another part. And the last one which I will share, and I will end my brief talk, is that again there is a one example of Komal, a young Dalit girl. She actually set up a company, I mean it's a proprietorship company, not private limited company, where you can get plumbers on air, and then if plumbers are sent to that place and they fix the problem of the people. Now these things are not available in small towns, and she is so successful that now she has started her franchisee also. By these examples, what I'm trying to say is that either it is in villages or it is in small town, these women are taking so much of risk. They are not getting access to capital, and I'm not complaining. What I'm trying is that when they do not get it, how they prove their business and how they manage to get it. And I'm so proud that today we have addressed 850,000 women. By 1 year, we'll be impacting 1 million women entrepreneurs. They have their digital credit history, they have their cash flows history, they have their market history, they have also the challenges, the stories of challenges which they have faced, so that when they share their stories, Shraddha, other 100 women will come forward and have the confidence to start. So at the end, I would just say that I have learned always so much from these hardworking women. And I would just like to say that when I was co-chairing Davos in 2018, and when I was going to represent there, I asked our women that, I'll be going to Davos. What should I talk to media, where global media is going to come there? You know what our women said? These women are founding members of our bank. They said, go and tell them that when we set up the bank, there was no outside support, no outside capital, no outside investment. It was our own investment, our own saving, our own credit. And when we made a profit, we invested in reserves. Why? Because foundation has to be strong. Go and tell them that for for all of you who are CEOs, who are heads of the state, maybe the capital is very important. But for us, our women always says that our courage is the capital. And I would always say, ma'am, that you are the person, and Dr. Swami, that if the government decides to give the courage to the startup, I am sure, and you have taken that as such a ma'am seriously, to create the landscape of the micro enterprise in Maharashtra. I'm sure that Maharashtra will be the pioneer state. With today, we take a sort of motivation from the government that we will be the state who will be able to create a maximum women-led enterprise. And हम लोग इसके द्वारा क्या मिलाएंगे? महाराष्ट्र इनोवेशन सोसाइटी और स्किल यूनिवर्सिटी से क्या मिलता है? हिसाब, हुनर और हिम्मत. इस हिसाब, हुनर और हिम्मत की यात्रा से हम जरूर यहाँ जॉब्स क्रिएट कर सकेंगे. Thank you so much.
Absolutely brilliant and inspiring, चेतना जी. हम आप जैसे साथियों के साथ मिलकर मुझे लगता है कि हमारा विभाग और शासन जरूर सभी उद्योजकों को, विशेषतः ग्रामीण भाग की महिलाओं को, हिम्मत और हुनर और अर्थ जैसे हरि जी जैसे साथियों के साथ हिसाब रखने की क्षमता, ये सब हम दिला पाएंगे. Thank you so much for your inspiring words.
Thank you, ma'am. And like you mentioned, that courage is the capital. With the courage with the Nari Shakti, the government is very keen, and with the support from partners like you, we are sure that the impact in the rural area is, will be achieved. Now, you mentioned about how important is the storytelling is important. Now, I would like to invite the next speaker. So people say that things untold remain unheard. So with this thought, I would like to invite Shraddha Sharma, who is been telling story about innovators and startups since 2008. And she has told many stories, but we are keen to hear her story today and get encouragement. So Shraddha, over to you.
Thank you, Amit. चेतना मैम, मैं सबसे पहले आपको बोलना चाहूंगी कि आपकी स्टोरी सुन के मतलब हमेशा बहुत ज्यादा प्रोत्साहन मिलता है, and especially on National Startup Day, very very proud of you. Like I absolutely love you for the work you are doing. I see the Honorable Minister, Mr. Lodha ji, and thank you sir. आप अपना कैमरा ऑन रखें. हम ये कहना चाहेंगे कि स्टार्टअप डे में this is a very big commitment. Like you, the way you spoke, it seems so genuine and so authentic. And now that you've kept your camera on as you are traveling, it's just for all of us here कि हमें विश्वास होता है कि अच्छे लीडर्स हैं. अभी हम अच्छे लीडर्स के साथ हैं, अच्छा माहौल है और अच्छी चीजें होंगी, और वो बहुत बड़ी बात है. And this is for all the startups who will be listening, because हमने बहुत कुछ सुना, but now we actually are in an era, हम इस दौर से गुजर रहे हैं और जी रहे हैं जहाँ पे we have very very strong leadership at national level and at the state level. एंड ऑफ कोर्स मनीषा मैम, यू आर एन इंस्पिरेशन। मैं सबको ये सुनाना चाहूंगी कि मैं इनसे मिली कुछ महीने पहले, जहाँ पे सारे स्टेट के ऑफिशियल्स आए हुए थे, डिफरेंट श्री पीयूष गोयल जी ने वो कंडक्ट किया था। और जब मनीषा मैम अपना प्रेजेंटेशन शुरू की तो हम सब चुप हो गए, सब चुप हो गए, और सारे स्टेट वाले चुप हो गए, क्योंकि इनका जो नंबर्स था और इन्होंने जो काम किया था, दैट वाज वेरी इंस्पायरिंग। एंड टुडे that to me is something that I will call out, that when it comes to Maharashtra, Maharashtra is walking the talk. And Ramaswamy sir, I see you, you were there sitting next to her that day and I see you today, so it's great to see you. TN Hari is someone who has mentored me, advised me, and have a huge respect, and it's great to see him sitting over there because he's played a huge role in my journey. And Amit, अभी सबके बारे में बोला है तो तुम्हारे बारे में, अमित एंड द स्टार्टअप टीम, एंड आई सी यू एवरीवन, थैंक यू। ये जो एनर्जी है स्टार्टअप इंडिया है, मुझे लगता है ये यंग एनर्जी है और ये इंपॉर्टेंट है हमारे लिए, बिकॉज वी आर द चेंज मेकर्स एंड वील मेक द चेंज हैपन। जो ऑडियंस है उनको मैं बस एक बात कहूंगी कि आज मैम सबने बोला छोटे शहरों में, ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर ने भी कहा कि इट्स नॉट अबाउट बिग सिटीज बट गांव और छोटे शहरों में चेंज लाना है। टू ऑल दी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ऑन नेशनल स्टार्टअप डे, मैं ये बस ये कहना चाहूंगी कि आज मुझे याद है कि मैं 20 साल पहले बिहार से निकली थी ट्रेन पकड़कर पटना से, एंड महाराष्ट्र इज सो फॉरवर्ड, आई कम फ्रॉम बिहार विच इज हियर, एंड वहां से चली थी और एक हिम्मत और एक हौसले और एक ड्रीम के साथ। और वो मैं कहूंगी ऑन द नेशनल स्टार्टअप डे दैट वी आर सेलिब्रेटिंग टुडे, हिम्मत, हौसला और ड्रीम देखना मत छोड़िए। टू एवरीवन, एवरीथिंग इज पॉसिबल, क्योंकि मैं भी यहाँ पे बैठी हूँ हीरोइन की तरह और बातें बना सकती हूँ और कह सकती हूँ, अगर मैं कर सकती हूँ तो सब कर सकते हैं, एंड एवरीवन कैन डू इट, एंड दैट इज व्हाट आई होप फॉर एवरीवन। एक चीज की जरूरत है, वो है अपना स्पाइन जो है उसको मजबूत बनाते रहना, क्योंकि दुनिया तोड़ते रहेगी, पर कैसे खड़े रहना है और खुद के बल पे खड़े रहना है और खुद में विश्वास रखना, वो सबसे कठिन जर्नी है और वो जर्नी हम सबको करना है, और हम करेंगे तो हमारे साथ आसपास सब करेंगे। एंड मैंने पिछले 14 साल से स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम देखा है। अभी मैं बोल रही थी कहीं इससे पहले, मैं कह रही थी ना कि हम देखते थे सिलिकॉन वैली ये वो, अब वो मौका आ गया है और हम उस इंडिया में रह रहे हैं जब हम कहेंगे कि दूसरों की जय से पहले सिलिकॉन वैली और ये सब की जय से पहले हम खुद को जय करें, और वो है आज का स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम। एंड दिस इज बिकॉज वी हैव गवर्नमेंट विच इज such a phenomenal action oriented government. We have amazing bureaucrats who are actually to me like entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurs and startups कि हम सोचते हैं हम किसी से कम नहीं है, हमें कम, हमारे पास पैसे कम हो बट हिम्मत और हौसला कम नहीं है। और मैं चाहूंगी कि अगले 10 साल में हमारे जैसे लोग, we create opportunities for many people like us, and I'll only request all entrepreneurs, develop your spine and एक देने की आदत रखते हैं, क्षमता, क्योंकि हम गरीब थे अब हम नहीं हैं हम 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी जल्द होंगे, और हम सबको, ये नहीं कि सिर्फ गवर्नमेंट को देना होगा और इसको देना होगा, each one of us has to learn to give. And if we do that, then we are living in the most fantastic India. I can travel the world, but I'm so proud to be an Indian in an India of today. And I hope all of you go on to build your dreams and your stories. And when you do your stories, then we are here to write your stories, to celebrate, to amplify your stories. And with that, lots of love and thank you so much. बहुत ज़्यादा बोला, I hope I didn't. अमित बहुत हंस रहे हो. Thank you for being such a fantastic partner, and to all of you. Thank you so much. And I love Maharashtra. हम इवेंट कर रहे हैं 22-23 मार्च को टेक्सपार्क्स, बिकॉज द गवर्नमेंट के साथ हम आप लोगों के साथ पार्टनर कर रहे हैं, स्टार्टअप्स के साथ, एंड वील बी डूइंग अ बिग इवेंट। ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर, आई सी यू, तो आप प्लीज कोशिश कीजिएगा 22-23 मार्च को आने के लिए उस इवेंट पे। सो थैंक यू, थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Thank you, Shraddha. I think your emphasis on that as we grow up the ladder of success, we should be keeping the remembrance of giving and sharing. I think that's a very, very important point today for everyone, all of us. And whether be it the government or the officers or our teams or professionals or startups or entrepreneurs or business leaders, because it is important that we'll grow together as a collective only if we give and share not only our wealth but also our knowledge, our networks, and our experiences, because there is a lot of value in each one of them. Thank you so much for your words. We're looking forward to having our stories of startups incubated in Maharashtra getting reflected through your medium. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shraddha. Thanks for giving us the mantra of believing yourself, and I'm sure that has motivated to all the entrepreneurs over here. So thank you very much. Now I would like to invite the next speaker, Mr. Ravi Ranjan, just to brief about him. Nowadays, everybody is seeing, the craze of Shark Tank. So he's the person behind the first edition of the Shark Tank. He's in the ecosystem since last more than 10 years. He has worked with various state and the international governments. He's an expert in the startup ecosystem. So he will be guiding us on his journey and how the startups and the innovators should, focus on believing their aims and the goals. So requesting Ravi to brief and guide the audience. Thank you.
And just a request to all our eminent speakers before Ravi takes over is that please stay with us, because there will be a question and answer session after Mr. Ravi concludes his address, so that we can benefit from, the audience can benefit from these speakers. So I would request all of you to please stay with us. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amit. Really appreciate that. Honorable Minister Shri Mangal Prabhat Lodha ji, Ma'am Manisha Verma ji, Director of Maharashtra Innovation Society, Mr. Hari, and everyone. Shraddha, you have been always an inspiration. So good to hear you. I have been given a difficult task to talk about angel investment, which is a little different, but I'll try and do my best. Very quickly, I'm gonna share a very interesting story. So for the last year, October and November, 2 months, I was traveling across the world, joining 3 of the biggest events in the world. Now, these 3 events gave me a really different perspective of how the ecosystems across the world are growing. I need to share my screen. If I may request Amit or the host to give me the screen share access, that'll be great.
Just a minute.
Sure. Sure. Thank you so much. Perfect. These 3 events have been really interesting. They have put Portugal, Finland, and SFO on the global map. The first event is Web Summit, which happens in Lisbon, Portugal. 71,000 plus attendees coming from 160 countries, where they have 2,300 plus startups and a lot of other stakeholders. The second event, where I had the opportunity to represent India with the Startup India team. Again, it happens in Helsinki, Finland, a very, very cold place, but people come from across the world, which is very interesting. The final event, which I was there at, was TechCrunch Disrupt in San Francisco, California. Now, these 3 events have really, put these cities and countries on the global map, what India is trying to do with our activities. And, every state is trying to come in a very healthy competition and encourage startups from their states to get access to, solve problems, to kind of create employment. But I have some really interesting data points which I wanted to share, and that was the reason I shared these events. While I was at these events, it felt really nice and good to see that number. But the number which we have in India is phenomenal. We just need to bring all of that together. And I think, as Shraddha said, and everyone is saying, the next 10 to 15 years belong to India, and nobody is going to take that away from us. I have some very interesting data points. Let me just share once again, and then we go right into the topic. The first one, as of now, if you look at today, there are almost 200,000 startups in India. 85,000 are recognized by DPIIT. Some of them are not recognized, but our nearest competition, which is China, it has a phenomenal number. Can we guess how many startups are there in China? Now, why I'm doing this comparison, there's a reason behind it. But a very interesting data point, in China, we have 30 million startups, which is a really, really great number. In India, we have today 10,000 angel investors. In the US, we have 1.5 million registered users. What does it mean? It means that the Indian startup ecosystem has just started. Just by taking baby steps, we are already the third largest ecosystem in the world. The day India hits 1% of population in India start, actively contributing towards the ecosystem, we are going to be the biggest winner. What is driving all of this innovation and the phenomenal startup story in India? Number one is the demographic dividend and the literacy rate. Today, India is one of the youngest countries in the world. The next many, many years are going to be where Indian entrepreneurs and Indian, young generation is going to drive economy. That's where the dream of having an economy which is going to be the next biggest winner in the country is going to be true. Second, India has a wonderful internet story. Today, we are one of the best country in the world, able to provide the affordable data. And this data has been translating into amazing companies coming, which are catering not only to tier 1, but to tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities. These are some of the very interesting data points. What is so interesting is that majority of the rural subscriber, they are using mobile phone, which means that reaching out to them as an internet company has become very interesting and very easy. This is a very interesting snapshot. Almost in all the verticals, there are companies which are harnessing the power of internet and being able to take the innovation to the next level in almost all the verticals and segments. Next is the digital economy. Thanks to Government of India, there has been a very interesting rise in UPI, which has led the innovation in the country. And finally, the great Indian startup ecosystem. These are the startups which are changing and shaping the lives of young people in the country, right? Starting from Udemy to Byju's to Zomato to Cashify to Lending Card. When we move on, look at the adult and senior citizen audience. We have companies like Zepto to Urban Company, providing on-demand service to companies like Portia and Dunzo, which are helping senior citizens at home. This is a quick insight about the giant landscape, but this is what I have come here today to talk about, the startup investment opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, we have 10,000 active investors putting money in India, and we are already doing really amazing. Imagine the day when we have 1 million active angel investors putting money in the ecosystem. I think, it's going to be a wonderful story. To give a very quick perspective, this is a typical startup investment life cycle. You start with a friends and family round with a $50,000 to $100,000. You then go and do the seed and angel round between $500,000 to $2 million, and then from there on you keep on ahead. As a startup, as an investor, primarily, how do you evaluate a winning startup? Now, this might not be the best slide for the audience today, but because I was invited to talk about the angel investors, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes here. Number one is, as an investor, you need to look at mentorable founders who have great execution capability. They should be working in a space which is kind of bringing some sort of disruption. It does not have to be revolutionary all the time, but a disruption, let's say in the business model, in the sales approach, has to be there. There should be a product market fit. There should be ability to raise fund in the founders, where they can raise capital continuously and faster than their competition. Finally, there should be a scalable and asset-light model, where less capital is kind of required to scale very fast using technology and not only with capital. This is one reform which we have to bring in. And I think the market is already correcting and a lot of changes are happening. There's also a myth that only a tech company can be great. While tech companies definitely have a leverage of kind of growing at a fast pace, but a non-tech company can also grow. Some of the very interesting examples are companies such as Beardo, P-Safe, Viva, Fastos, which is now Rebel Foods. They have shown that even a non-tech company can do really phenomenally well. As one of the distinguished speaker was mentioning today, Miss Chetna Sinha, ma'am. Today, Indian entrepreneurs are moving beyond metro. More than 40% startups are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities. More than 50% internet users are from tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities. And there has been a 300% rise in angel investment across tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India. Again, many years ago, the round sizes used to be small and the names used to be given seed round, pre-seed round. But today, a round name does not define the quantum. The startup can raise any capital at any round. Oyo, while they raised a $50,000 as a seed funding, 10 Club raised a $40 million as a seed round. So the ecosystem is changing definitely, it's growing definitely, and the investors' belief is growing along with the ecosystem as well. I think at this moment, I'm just gonna stop here and share one quick slide before I end my talk. Just allow me a second here, please. Actually, all the slides are primarily for the angel investors, but I'm just going to skip that and stop my thought here. Again, like Shraddha, I come from a very, very small village in Jharkhand. When I was growing up, there were a lot of challenges around us. And I am very privileged that entrepreneurship has given me this opportunity to spread this word. Till date, I have had an opportunity to train more than 2 lakh aspiring entrepreneurs, 20,000 teachers, 1,500 government officials across the country. And I believe that if opportunity is given to young people across the country, we will be able to see some really, really great innovation. I think season 2 of Shark Tank is going on. We already see how a duo from Mithila in Bihar is doing Jhaji pickle, and then there's some really great innovation happening. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So much to be done. Thanks to government of Maharashtra, who is launching the School of Entrepreneurship today and many other initiatives. Thanks a lot. Excited to be here.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Ravi. Though we understand the time was less to explain the angel investment in just a small time, you did the best. So thanks a lot for that. Now we have some questions for all the prominent speakers. So would request questions one by one. There are some questions in chat. So I'll just read one by one and to the specific speaker.
Or whoever had raised their hand now.
If someone has any question, can you please raise hand so that I can allow?
There is one. There was one.
Otherwise, why are you not scrolling and taking questions on this? They have written it. Neil, you can just
Dr.
read the
Prakash?
question.
Dr. Prakash Rao, do you want to ask your question, please?
Otherwise, the
Read the question.
questions in the chat box, you just read and the speakers will give their responses.
So Dr. Atul Kole has asked that how do we catch angel investors for student startups? Ravi, do you want to take this?
Sure.
No,
I think. Sorry.
All the speakers get an opportunity.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think I'm just going to spend a couple of seconds. No, I think for student entrepreneurship.
Take your time. All of you, please take your time because this is meant to be like a guiding workshop for the audience. So please, and we will be recording and then disseminating this talk also. So please take your time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. As I was saying, for student entrepreneurs, one of the best way to raise capital at an early stage, because while students are starting startups, their ideas are at an early stage. So funding might not come right at the beginning. You have to take them through an incubation model where the model can be validated. There can be a lot of ideas, but first it has to be validated. As an angel investor, if a startup is incubated already and the model has been validated, it gives them a little bit of confidence that, okay, I might put my capital there. Most of the incubators across the country today have access to some sort of grant available from both central and the state government. Those grants can be given. In fact, AICs have been a very interesting model where these grants are available. So at least for the first 1 or 2 round, that grant and the capital available from the incubator should be sufficient before you bring those startups for an angel investment round. That would be my thought, requesting other speakers to share their insights.
Hari, would you like to say something?
I think a couple of things. One is, I think as ecosystems mature, funding becomes available to ideas, and funding goes to campuses. For example, there is a fund called Campus Fund, run by somebody, I don't remember, I'm very bad at names. Her surname is Bajaj. She runs a fund called the Campus Fund, which is available only for students on campuses. Because today what's happening is that a lot of kids on campus have begun to do startups even in year 2. And in fact, some very progressive institutes like IITs, they're introducing programs in techno-entrepreneurship. Techno-entrepreneurship means you can be a mechanical engineer, but you'll also be, an entrepreneurship program you would do. So not just a pure mechanical engineer, but a techno-entrepreneur in mechanical engineering. So they begin to implement ideas right from year 2. So by the time they're in year 4, actually the idea would have taken shape. And many of the funds are available. Government of India also uses these institutes and as nodal points for giving out funds to good ideas on campus. And this campus funds are also gradually taking shape. That's the way I would see it.
Shraddha or Chetna ma'am would like to add this point to this point.
I would just request young students that there are some foundations like Amit Chandra Foundation, which actually give a capital or a seed capital to the young startups. So they should search for that. And then there is another organization, Umidyar, who also, Ravi, you must be aware that who are putting an investment in the new startup. There are some such now foundations also who are coming forward, who do provide the investments.
Thank you, ma'am. Shraddha?
Amit, I will have a very contrarian answer. मैं सोचती हूँ as a student जितना हो सके fund मत raise करो. Like as a student, why do you want to raise funds? मतलब सबसे पहले idea आया नहीं कि fund raise क्यों करना और अपनी जिंदगी बर्बाद क्यों करना, because it's glamorous and cool and whatever. Because if you have a good idea तो पहले customers लाओ, prototype करो, दिखाओ और उस बलबूते पे फिर थोड़ा बनाओ market और फिर उसके बाद fund raise और angel investing और ये सब सुनो, because angels कोई angels होते नहीं है. So my only request is कि एक नया दौर है तो नए ढंग से सोचें. मतलब let's not think angel investing and investing as first, because मजबूत idea है तो फिर पैसे आ जाते हैं, वो problem नहीं होगा.
Thanks, Shraddha, for the different perspective. So thanks for addressing that question. We have a next question from the one of the audience. So Nick, can you?
Mr. Sudhir earlier has asked that how can we bring this ecosystem to tier 3 and beyond? How can we impress angel investors to come down to rural Maharashtra to support startups?
Ravi would like to take that first, or?
I think Chetna ma'am should answer this question. She's been working on the grassroots level, so that'll be great to hear from her.
Chetna ma'am?
Yeah, her question is, how do you go to, what was the question?
How do you bring angel investors to smaller towns in Maharashtra? Yeah.
So वैसे मुझे इन्वेस्टर्स कैसे लाना है या छोटे गांव में कैसे लाना है, मुझे सबसे पहले ये लगता है कि what I see in the villages कि many times अच्छा ये भी रहता है कि हर एक के फैमिली में भी बहुत कोई सपोर्टर्स रहते हैं. यानी there are people in the family, मैंने जो स्टोरीज नरेट की उनको बैंक से पहले उनके घर वालों में से कोई ना कोई सपोर्ट करने आता है कि दे गिव यू सम अमाउंट की मशीनरी बाय करनी है तो इसको इतना पैसा लगता है तो you get it. That is one. The second is that another thing which I see कि in a very different context I'm using, पर जब गांव में कुछ करना रहता है, यानी अगर गांव में कुश्तियां होती हैं तो गांव के जो लोग हैं वो कुश्ती में पैसे वो फंड के लिए देते हैं, यात्रा के लिए देते हैं. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जिनको गांव में काम करना है तो जो गांव को कैसे अट्रैक्ट करें, हाउ डू आई गेट माय विलेजर्स टू बी प्राउड ऑफ दैट मेरे गांव में ये मेरी एक काम कर रही है, कोई भी महिला कारखाना छोटा चला रही है तो मेरे गांव के लिए दैट इज अ प्राइड. सो आई डू फील दैट कि गांव में अगर लाना है पैसा तो वो तरीका ज्यादा आसान होता है. एंड आई दैट मेरे गांव में जो शहर में जाके जिन्होंने फ्यूचर बनाया है उनको मैं अपील करूं कि गांव में इन्वेस्ट करो. आई थिंक वो ज्यादा आसान होता है. और द थर्ड वन विच इज कि जो गांव में क्या चलता है, आई वुड जस्ट लाइक टू से give you a very different example कि during COVID बहुत सारी महिला सिंगल हो गई एंड दे वो गाँव की थी एंड देन उनके पास और कोई चारा ही नहीं था, पर कल से मुझे कमाना ही है, वो नहीं कमाती थी ऐसा नहीं, बट इन सच अ सिचुएशन एंड उस वक्त हम लोगों ने महिलाओं से बात की कि क्या सबसे अच्छा चल सकता है. मैनी विमेन उन्होंने देशी अंडे का बिजनेस शुरू किया. नाउ वो मैं अंडा टोपली में लेके बेचूं या मैं ऑर्डर लेके उसको घर होम डिलीवरी करूं, तो वो बिजनेस को अगर ऐसा कर दिया जाए कि आई एम प्रोवाइडिंग होम डिलीवरी ऑफ एग्स टू योर हाउस, और आई वाज रियली सरप्राइज कि 21 महिलाओं को तुरंत ये बिजनेस इट स्टार्टेड गिविंग अ कैश फ्लोज. सो आई डू फील दैट व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द विलेजेस, 1, 2, 3 things are there, that how do you make those things ease of doing business, which are the areas की जो हो सकता है, और then and उसके लिए पैसा लाना है, और गवर्नमेंट की भी स्कीम्स हैं, नेशनलाइज्ड बैंक की भी स्कीम्स हैं, और उनसे भी लैंडिंग मिल सकता है.
Just wanted to add to this. So, one is investments for tier 3, tier 2 towns. Other is villages. I'll just address these two separately. So I think, India is changing in a very big way. And one big change is reflected in films, for example, films and cricket. If you look at IPL teams, most of the IPL players today are from tier 3, tier 4 towns. 25 years back, they were all from Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi. But today it's changing. And I think cricket has begun to mirror society at large, even films. So if you look at tier 3, tier 4 towns, many entrepreneurs are springing up from there. A good number of entrepreneurs, for example, the Dehat founders come from Patna. And many of them, they decided that, there's a good business to be built out of agriculture. So a lot of role models are coming out from tier 2, tier 3 towns. They're realizing that there can be, hyper local businesses built, non-traditional businesses built. And some of them are getting funded, some of them are not getting funded. But I think there are role models coming up in tier 3, tier 4 towns. And even VCs are realizing that they are coming up with amazing ideas and they're very down to earth and have a terrific ability to execute. Now, coming to villages, I think, villages you have to think of very interesting ways of funding. For example, there's an idea of self-help groups. So getting individuals, money will be difficult, but women's self-help groups, for example, is a proven model for getting money because they are bound to return. They have greater commitment to return money. So creating groups by which it becomes easier for banks and others to lend money to them, I think is also interesting. So villages, I think this is the mechanism, self-help groups. I think as far as tier 2, tier 3 towns, I think entrepreneurship is becoming really big there. VCs have, understood that they're actually going to tier 2, tier 3 towns to meet those founders.
Sure. I would just like to add something. Shraddha, do you have something to add? Should I go ahead? ओके तो आई थिंक चेतना मैम और मिस्टर हरी ने दो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स को कवर किया है. मैं इसको दूसरे पर्सपेक्टिव से कवर करने की कोशिश करता हूं. आज से 6 साल पहले मैंने एक प्रोग्राम डिजाइन किया था, एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट मास्टर क्लास. उसमें हम क्या करते हैं, बेसिकली वी गो टू वेरियस सिटीज अक्रॉस द कंट्री एंड इनफैक्ट अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. इस प्रोग्राम के माध्यम से अभी तक हमने करीब 5000 एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स को अपने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ जोड़ा है. ये प्रोग्राम हमने छोटे शहरों में भी किया, कोल्हापुर में हमने ये प्रोग्राम किया, नासिक में हमने ये प्रोग्राम किया, कोयम्बतौर में हमने ये प्रोग्राम किया, सिलीगुड़ी में, रांची में, पटना में, गुवाहाटी में. सो मुझे लगता है कहीं ना कहीं एज अ स्टेट वी नीड टू रीच आउट टू आवर सिटीज beyond Mumbai and Pune. We have to go to these small cities and we have to aware the local business community that, listen, you have been putting money in various asset classes, including mutual fund, equity, gold, land. Startup is also a very important asset class and it needs to get that recognition. Today, if you look at the campaigns around mutual fund, it's going at the national level, supported by various government and non-government agencies. Similarly, I'm not saying that everyone needs to start putting money in as an angel investor because it's a high risk and high return. But there are people, if given education, they would like to invest in the local startups from the cities, number one. Number two, there are some really phenomenal companies coming from tier 3 cities. In fact, we invested in a company called My Fitness. It's a peanut butter company from Silvassa. Today is the market leader, already acquired. We have a company called India Gifting Portal from Lucknow, number one player in the country. Founders from tier 2, tier 3, like Beardo, have amazing power. But at an early stage, they struggle to get that capital. Investors ask them to move to Bangalore. Investors ask them to move to Mumbai. But the founders want to continue from that place. Unfortunately, Dehat, which started from Patna, they moved to Delhi. So the Bihar state is not able to take advantage of that, right? So is with so many other companies which started from their bases in small towns, but end of the day investors कहते हैं आपको अगर scale करना है आप हमारे शहर में आइए. तो दूसरी चीज हमें ये भी करनी होगी कि we have to create a mechanism जहां पे छोटे शहरों में भी we can provide three things: access to technology, access to mentoring, and number three, access to fund at various stages. Again, government can create policies. और तीसरी जो चीज है which is awareness towards entrepreneurship. We need more people to join the ecosystem. Again, मैंने एक प्रोग्राम अटेंड किया था भारत सरकार की तरफ से, स्टार्टअप यात्रा. उससे इंस्पायर होकर मैंने एक और प्रोग्राम बनाया, उसका नाम है खोज. खोज के अंदर हमने ऑलरेडी 8 स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के साथ मिलके पिछले 6 महीने में 25 छोटे छोटे शहरों में एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इवेंट्स ऑर्गेनाइज किए और वहां पे लोगों को एक मौका दिया कि वो अपने आइडियाज को पिच सके, कर सके और इन्वेस्टमेंट रेज कर सके. बट जस्ट टू कंक्लूड, मेरा ये कहना होगा कि अभी भी बहुत सारी चीजें करनी बाकी हैं. जो मेजॉरिटी ऑफ एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स हैं वो बड़े शहरों में हैं, हमें उन्हें छोटे शहरों तक लेके जाना पड़ेगा. बिकॉज ट्रस्ट मी, we have closed a fund of $130 million. More than 70% of this LP for this fund have come from tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 cities, which is a phenomenal case study for India. So just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Ravi, this was your most passionate speech so far. एकदम genuine दिल से बोले, अच्छा बोले.
नहीं, मैं तो गांव से आया हूँ, मैंने तो गांव में इतनी तकलीफें देखी, अभी भी देखता हूँ. मेरा गांव जो है अभी भी वहां पे
बोलना था ना कि बहुत अच्छा बोला, बहुत अच्छा.
बिल्कुल. तो समस्याएं हैं बट समाधान भी हमें ही करना होगा. Okay.
Thank you, Ravi. We have a next question. My colleague Neil will read it.
Srinivas has asked that can MSINS host some mentoring sessions with relevant ministries for us to present our solution and help scale up our proposition. We would like to engage more with the various departments.
They want to engage more, connect with the relevant departments.
More ministries. They're a startup week winner, so we can say that's ongoing for start.
Yeah, so we will be, I mean, we are working very closely with all the departments, be it industry department, be it higher and technical education department, be it the government of India. And we are also now interested in, reaching out and penetrating our outreach through partners like all of you. So it is a larger ecosystem. It is the academic institutions, it is the universities, it is our field institutions like ITIs where, nearly 2 lakh youth are taking technical education. We want to kind of tap their talent also. And when we are talking about an ecosystem, the facility, there are a lot of government of India and state government schemes which are being run by the respective domain departments. So there's absolute need of convergence and close coordination there to give this benefit of all the government schemes also to all the participants and stakeholders. So we will be making, and your suggestions are very, very much welcome in this regard. Thank you.
Dr. Harsh Kumar has asked that he's concerned about profitability of startups and bubble formation. He would like to understand a little more on this subject.
Should I go on this?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I think this is the nature of the VC beast, which is that company aise hi bante hain, which is that some companies run sustainably, some companies, get valuations which are far ahead of their inherent values, not very profitable, but still valued just because they're at the right place, right time, raise the right kind of funding and have created the right kind of belief that the market is big. But I think this is natural, which is that some companies will survive, some companies will sustain, and some companies will establish profitability much later during their journey. And some companies may even die. And that's the very nature of the startup beast. And ultimately, it is private capital that's being used. So one shouldn't really have too much concerns, in terms of what impact it has, as long as there is a potential to create some good companies. The only question I think is really when a company goes public, that's when what are some of the principles that should govern companies going public. Because once you go public and you're not profitable, then it becomes very difficult for retail investors to begin to evaluate what is the realistic share price and whether the existing shareholders are trying to exit. So I think that's when the problem happens. But otherwise, I think as long as private money is involved, VC money, private equity money, this is the nature of the beast, which is some will be built unprofitably, some will die, and some will acquire profitability at a later point of time.
But as Shraddha said, आप हौसला रखिए.
Next one is by Mr. Pradeep Bade. Ravi, it's directed specifically to you. As you travel the world, which are the 2-3 best startups which have attracted you globally?
Best startups.
Best 2 or 3 startups from your journeys.
So I think a lot of companies I met, interestingly, Baltic region, which is primarily, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, and Finland. These are 4 countries in Europe, but they're very isolated, where they don't get a lot of support from the active ecosystem across Europe, like Berlin or London. So they have developed their own ecosystem where they have built companies which are resilient, which are very sustainable from day one. So I saw some very interesting companies in the Latvian region. One company which I was very impressed was Rivian, which is in a way competition to Tesla. I saw their trucks in San Francisco. They have built a completely 100% EV, heavy vehicle, automobile, which is going to give a tough competition to large manufacturing companies in the world. Number one. Number two, I saw a company called Zoosk, Zoosk, in San Francisco. Zoosk is one of the first 100% autonomous taxi. I was so intrigued. So the car was doing a round across San Francisco downtown. I went on, downloaded the app, and I booked a ride. So a car came, and I had to put a pin. The door unlocked. I went inside the car. There was nobody. It was just me. And then it took me on a 27-minute ride. I was really scared, excited, but also very amazed to see the technology. Imagine this is happening across the world. It's going to be phenomenal because, there are so many reasons why an autonomous car is required or not required. But to see that innovation actually happening was very amazing. I think, they have put so many sensors both inside and outside of the car. So to think about the engineering piece of it was amazing. Some of these very interesting companies inspired me. In fact, I also saw some very, very interesting non-tech companies as well, coming primarily in the organic field. So Berlin, Germany was one of the biggest meat eater state in the world. Today, Berlin, as the capital of Germany, is the #1 vegetarian city in the world. They proud themselves to say that we are the most vegetarian friendly city in the world. I was very surprised. मतलब भारत देश शाकाहारी लोगों का देश है. मैं बर्लिन में हूं और वहां पे लोग सिर्फ वीगन और वेजिटेरियन की बात कर रहे हैं. बट प्रॉब्लम क्या थी कि वहां पे जो पूरा इकोसिस्टम है, इट्स अराउंड मीट ईटिंग पॉपुलेशन. तो उन्होंने एक पूरा रिवर्स मैकेनिज्म बनाया कि हाउ कैन दे ग्रो vegetables and lot of other vegetarian options in a very small space because ज़्यादा जगह नहीं है वहाँ पे. So a lot of innovative companies are coming in the agri-tech space in Berlin. So I think these are some of the amazing companies I saw. But मैं एक ही बात बोलना चाहूँगा. मैंने 2 से 2.5 महीने गुजारे यूरोप और यूएस में 2 महीने में, और मुझे यही लगा वहाँ की इनोवेशन इकोसिस्टम को देख के कि भारत बहुत तेजी से उनसे आगे बढ़ रहा है. आप 3 से 5 साल का समय दीजिए. हम लोग सिलिकॉन वैली, बर्लिन, लंदन की बात करना भूल जाएंगे. हम बात करने लगेंगे बैंगलोर, मुंबई, दिल्ली, पुणे, नासिक, कोयम्बतूर की. एंड आई एम नॉट एग्जैजरेटिंग. दिस इज गोइंग टू हैपन एंड दिस इज हैपनिंग, एंड nobody would be able to stop this.
Ravi, I have a question here for you, that when you talked about the Baltic countries and ecosystem where they have developed resilient startups right from the inception, what is the government contribution in terms of policy frameworks? Could you find out on that aspect, because that is what it would be a good learning for us.
Absolutely, ma'am. So I think a lot of interesting ones. The #1 incentive which is provided to a lot of European startups is that whatever amount of capital you raise from private investors, the government match exact amount. So if I'm able to raise $1 million, the government would give me $1 million because it's already validated. People are putting their own money, so the government would support. #1. #2, government provide a lot of soft landing space for startups at an early stage, which translate into free working spaces, subsidy in electricity, etc., which is again being given in India. I would not say we are not given, but there it's in a way they regard the startups so much. For example, Finland, it's a very small country, right? And one of the biggest company, Nokia, has been in a way the biggest monopoly in the country. Government of Finland want to bring more innovation. Today, Finland as a country is 98% banked. Almost 98% population has banking facility. Still, we are doing great in terms of UPI and other technologies, but the government is so proud of them. They spend time and effort to take these companies to various parts of the world to create a bridge between the Finnish companies and other evolved economies. Because unfortunately, you can build a great technology in Finland. You don't have users. You have to take them to India. You have to take them to China. You have to take them to large countries where there are large population. So government is taking a lot of effort to bridging that gap. So I think these are a couple of things which I observed. One of the requests which I would have for you, ma'am, and for the state of Maharashtra, if we can, I mean, we already have a very strong policy, but if we can bring a mechanism where access to really high quality mentors would be provided from a central dashboard, number one. Number two, if we can organize various office hours with technology providers so that at an early stage, I can understand how should I build a scalable technology model. And number three, if funding can be more easily accessible. See, I know there are a lot of grants, but ask any founder. Getting a grant is almost as difficult as finding peace in the Bangalore traffic. So it's very difficult. It's not easy. It has to be simplified. We cannot just say that, oh, there are grants available and let the founder figure out the puzzle. We have to make it simple so that they can actually access it. Unfortunately, we have invested in more than 350 startups. Very few of them have been able to ever get a grant. Very, very difficult, ma'am. So this would be my few input and request to you.
Can I also add a point on this?
Please.
So I just wanted to also add to what Ravi said, which is, I think, in India, sometimes we tend to overplay very capital intensive industries, which is a company comes in and puts in 1,000 crores into a state, and that gets a lot of visibility. I think we need to extend the red carpet to the micro and small enterprises. So these are the companies that are really creating jobs, and many of these startups or micro enterprises already exist. Many of them are in the red. They are struggling to do well because of some basic problems. So if you can just fix those basic problems, create role models, roll out the red carpet to micro and small enterprises, and give them a lot of visibility, I think that would be a big one as well.
So that your thoughts would be great. I mean, you meet so many founders, listen to their stories. Any input on how government is doing already great? Anything else which can make it more accessible to founders?
Funding.
नहीं, फंडिंग की बात नहीं है, और भी चीज है.
मुझे तो अभी इस साल बैठ के लग रहा है कि there's so many things that's improved. Yesterday, day before 3 days, I was in Madhya Pradesh. और वहाँ पे I was shocked कि हर जगह, मतलब I didn't think that Madhya Pradesh will have such fantastic, phenomenal startups. वहाँ पे एक लड़की, उसको ग्रांट मिला है 1 करोड़ का गवर्नमेंट से, जो कि वो बना रहे हैं, परकिंट करके है वो कंपनी. वो 5 टेस्टिंग जो टेस्ट है वो एक डिवाइस से कर रहे हैं. इट्स ग्लोबली पेटेंटेड एंड WHO ने उसको एज अ शोकेस प्रोडक्ट रखा है.
अमेजिंग. मैं आपको मेंटोर कर रहा हूँ पिछले 1.5 सालों से.
So it's phenomenal, right? That there are so many people like that. I just feel that somehow I will go back to this, that we all have to figure out, क्योंकि हम यहाँ पे बोल के कुछ भी बोलेंगे और सोचेंगे और advice देंगे, but we will have to go back and figure out in our journeys कि कैसे. I always think entrepreneurship is more about अभी government सब कोई है, but it's about early days of dating, right? You have to keep on finding, you have to keep on meeting as many people, और वो उसमें थकना नहीं है. मतलब जिससे रोज मिलो 100 लोग से, तो कोई ना कोई एक तो होगा जो कि पसंद आएगा. And that is what is when it comes to investors, partners, team members. मैं 14 साल बाद अभी स्टार्टअप करके I found people whom I can actually say that they are phenomenal leaders. अगर मैं give up कर मार देती तो अभी नहीं होता. So that is the only thing, because I think a lot of things are available in India. My thing is, and today when I see from my lens, there's so much available: capital, money, government, investors, मतलब सब कुछ है. It's just that how do we hit every day? Is it getting up, like brushing your teeth every day? Similarly, उठ जाना है, खड़े हो जाना और कहना कि 100 लोग को आज hit करेंगे, and then you are going to hit something, right? Because आज हम ये सब बोल के चले जाएंगे और Zoom बंद हो जाएगा, and then you have to go back to your life. How are you going to navigate every day? And that every day is only going to hit when you have this discipline of saying, can give up nahi marenge, or hit. Like, if I were someone listening to this conversation today, मैं कहूँगा कि इस conversation के बाद, how do I connect to Hari, right? How do I connect to Ravi? हाउ डू आई कनेक्ट टू चेतना, हसल वहां से शुरू होता है, और इनको हम कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट करें, और हाउ डू आई गेट देम एज मेंटर्स, हाउ डू आई गेट देम एज इन्वेस्टर्स और एडवाइजर्स, राइट? सो दैट प्रैक्टिकलिटी आई थिंक ईच वन ऑफ अस एज एंटरप्रेन्योर्स विल हैव टू फिगर दैट आउट, क्योंकि अभी हम स्कैरसिटी वाले इंडिया में नहीं है, ये मेरा मानना है। क्योंकि जब 2008 में मैंने शुरू किया था, एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स तो पता नहीं क्या होते थे, एक टर्म शीट देने में 60% का इक्विटी लेते थे। आज एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स भी 2%, 1% है, ऑल्सो इवॉल्व, हर जगह एंजल। तो दुनिया बदली है, इंडिया हैज चेंज्ड इन लास्ट 12-14 ईयर्स। अभी रोना कि यूएस में है और यूरोप में है, आई थिंक इंडिया इज फिनोमिनल, यू नो। आई एम शॉक्ड जब मैं गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल से मिलती हूँ कि मतलब लगता है सब हीरो हीरोइन है, यू नो, दे आर एक्चुअली सो एंटरप्रेन्योरियल, यू नो। पीपल इन स्टार्टअप इंडिया, आज नेशनल स्टार्टअप डे है, यू नो, अनुराग जैन सर हैं, एक सेक्रेटरी हैं स्टार्टअप इंडिया DPIIT के, like you go to him and he gets things done in 2 days. Manisha Verma ma'am is sitting over here. I met her, I messaged her, and I got a meeting with Ramaswamy sir. So hustle, like, sorry, but I'm a very huge advocate of that. How do you क्योंकि हम लोग सबको बोल के स्टेज से चले जाके अपना ढूंढना रोज खुद का गेम है एज एंटरप्रेन्योर, जो हमें खुद खेलना होगा और करना होगा, और रोना नहीं होगा कि इंडिया में नहीं है, सब दे रहे। अभी ढूंढना है कि कौन देगा। लाइक अमित जैसा लड़का रात में 12 बजे 2 बजे, ये लोग हैं इस टाइप के इंसान who respond to things. Now what is your attitude? Like I always say, sorry but I'm going to say this, मेरा बहुत victim mindset था कि सब मेरी काटते हैं, और मेरा तब और कटता था अभी पिछले 3 साल में विपासना करके, मेडिटेशन करके लगता है अरे सब मेरे दोस्त हैं, और वैसे ही दोस्त बन रहा है। ये लगेगा ज्ञान है, बट दिस इज द प्रैक्टिकलिटी एज एन एंटरप्रेन्योर यू हैव टू इम्प्लीमेंट।
एब्सोल्युटली एग्री मैम। मेरा एक आखिरी सुझाव है, भारत सरकार ने ऑलरेडी एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग स्कीम बनाई है, निधि प्रयास, निधि EIR भी कहते हैं उसको। एक प्रॉब्लम क्या है, a lot of student entrepreneurs and we need a lot of student entrepreneur to be able to increase the number of founders. प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है, कई सारे स्टूडेंट होते हैं जिन्हें फाइनेंशियल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है राइट आफ्टर कॉलेज, उनके परिवार की उम्मीदें हैं कि वो कुछ पैसे घर लाएंगे। नाउ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने जो निधि EIR शुरू किया है, वहां पे दे प्रोवाइड 35,000 रुपीज पर मंथ in a way scholarship to people who are not going for jobs and building a startup. If we can create a similar mechanism, I'm not saying कि हमें और grant देने की जरूरत है, but in a way it's a very positive encouragement for students to build companies. A lot of them are already doing, but they are struggling because शुरुआत के 1-2 साल पैसे तो आने ही नहीं है, फंडिंग आने के बाद भी जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको सैलरी मिलेगी। While there are schemes available, how about we leverage it, boost it a little bit, and support all the student entrepreneurs coming from the state? That's it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for your valuable suggestions. I do want to say that I had attended some meeting of GOI in which they were mentioning that one of the points that was flagged was access to high quality mentors. And I do recall that there is a discussion and Government of India would be launching MARG. There is a scheme called MARG under which, you know, the mentors from across the country would be available on dashboard and startups can seek mentoring. Besides that, our team led by Dr. Ramaswamy, they have also proposed in the virtual incubation center that we are going to give an online platform to give various services to the startups. There is also a feature where we can do mentoring. People can access mentoring. Besides, I would say that all of you are present here. So experts like all of you who are contributing in today's conversation, I take it for granted that we will be able to reach out to you and make your services available, your valuable guidance available. As far as grants go, we will try our best. You know, the Government of India also has been trying to make their websites and different portals very user-friendly to the citizens, and they are trying to give information on one click to all the various department grants, because it is not only the DPIIT grants, but different ministries in Government of India and state government like agriculture or defense or railways or aviation, most of the domain departments have started floating their own funds and corpuses for startups to their which are relevant for their domains. So we have also given this feedback that we should be able to make all the information available easily to all our startups. And as far as your suggestion for Nidhi Prayas goes, we are also looking at setting up an ignition grant in future in Maharashtra, where we will be giving grants to the youth from colleges and ITIs who have innovative ideas and some business plan, and not only giving them grants, but selecting them on merit, and then hand holding them to develop sustainable business plan, take them through the mentoring, and besides giving the grant. So we will be having a brainstorming with all of you on that also. So these are some of my observations.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a question from the audience.
Mr. Mohan Kutti has asked, what are the industries that the Maharashtra Startup Acceleration Program is focusing on? What are the qualifying criteria for startups to apply, and what are the benefits of this program? Is this a student-focused program?
So this is which one? I thought
it's about our program.
Yeah, so Artha Scale program. So we've got multiple programs. One is for very early stage startups where there is some degree of product market fit, early revenues, and they're poised for scale. So there we have about 35 to 40 hours. The program is about 35 to 40 hours. It can be in person, where we have 4 full days of intense problem solving sessions around topics which are sector agnostic. And then the remaining 90 days will be special master classes on topics that are of interest to the cohort, as well as one-on-one mentoring on specific problems that founders are facing. The founder, for example, could be facing a problem of, we are an early stage startup. Can we think of some analytics platform which is low cost using open source tools? So we'll put in that person in touch with the person who is good at this. Or someone might say we need help in creating a product roadmap. So we'll put this founder in touch with somebody who is good at creating product roadmaps. So a 90-day program with a curriculum of about 35 to 40 hours on various topics, primarily on sector agnostic topics and sector specific topics through mentoring.
Ashish Gardeji has asked that Hari and Shraddha, how are you connecting with incubators in tier 2 cities like Aurangabad and facilitating growth of startups connected with new incubators like Magic?
I think as you begin to do things, the interesting opportunities come up. So for example, we were talking to the government of Kerala, where we were doing some things, and we never thought of doing anything for incubators. But then somebody came up to us and said, can you do a program only for incubation managers? Because these guys are able to create that force multiplication, because they in turn are in touch with several founders. So if incubation managers can do a good job of running their incubators well, then it'll create a huge impact. So we have begun to think about what kind of a program we can do for incubation managers. So we can do that for 60 incubation managers in Kerala, for example. We can try and do the same thing across the country as well, because it's about create the curriculum, create everything once, and begin to reuse multiple times. So I think incubation managers, doing a program to make them effective will really have bang for the buck.
Yeah, I think Ashish, your Magic is doing a phenomenal work as an incubator in the region. So we would kind of, I would say that, and you've been connecting with a lot of mentors and at your level. So I'm sure that, but certainly, I mean, people sitting in the panel today will be, you can reach out to them and, use their guidance as well.
आशीष का क्वेश्चन मैम मेरे लिए है क्योंकि they have been asking me for last 3-4 years to come, and I have committed that I'm coming to Aurangabad and spending time with them and telling all the stories. So we will be doing, अभी बोल रही हूँ, अभी रिकॉर्ड पे भी बोल रही हूँ कि आऊंगी इस मार्च से पहले आऊंगी और औरंगाबाद में टाइम स्पेंड करूंगी और सारे स्टोरीज सुनाऊंगी. and then we'll amplify and make sure that there is mentoring and everything that one has committed. Yes, I'm
So they have some very good startups and very, very good ideas. I mean, I have visited them and seen some of the prototypes. So I would request that you please take out time so that they don't have to.
अब तो हम पार्टनर भी कर लिए हैं, तो अब तो हम आ ही रहे हैं, मतलब ये कमिंग टू औरंगाबाद, बैंड बाजा बारात के साथ आ जाएंगे।
और अब तो पूरी दुनिया के सामने ऑनलाइन कमिटमेंट भी हो गया है।
और हमारे तरफ से हमने ऑलरेडी पिछले दिसंबर में ही प्लान किया था, हम एक बहुत बड़ा प्रोग्राम ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं औरंगाबाद में। मोस्ट प्रॉब्ली हम फरवरी के अंत तक वो करेंगे। इनफैक्ट वहाँ की जो लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन उनके साथ हमारी बातचीत ऑलरेडी चल रही है, तो एक बड़ा खोज जो हमारा कार्यक्रम है वो हम औरंगाबाद में करने वाले हैं।
So we would like to partner with you officially at the state level. So we'll plan it.
I'm already in touch with Neil, so the conversation is already going. Thank you so much for the encouragement. We'll take it ahead.
So the last question for today, there have been movement of opportunities and resources going from Bombay to cities like Bangalore and other cities. How do we retain this in Mumbai or Maharashtra at large? It's open for the
Yes.
Go ahead.
Shraddha, go ahead.
या सो ये जो टीम्स अभी बना है 18-20 यूनिकॉर्न्स हैं जो मुंबई के, उनके साथ इनफैक्ट आई हैव बीन स्पेंडिंग अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम इन मुंबई एंड अमित एंड रामास्वामी सर, आप नहीं थिंक बट आई हैव बीन स्पेंडिंग अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम इन मुंबई। उन्होंने कहा है कि हम वी आर डूइंग, दैट्स व्हाई एन इवेंट, कि हम हाउ डू वी मेक इट मोर कूल, बिकॉज काम तो हो रहा है, महाराष्ट्र में बहुत कुछ हो रहा है, बट हाउ डू वी डू दिस। हम टेक स्पार्क्स कर रहे हैं विद टीम्स, पार्टनरिंग विद टीम्स एंड with Maharashtra Innovation Society and film stars, ये सब लाकर, so that how do we make it buzzing, right? क्योंकि अभी ऐसा परसेप्शन है कि बैंगलोर में सब कुछ हो रहा है, बट अगर तुम देखो नंबर्स, चाहे वो जेप्टो हो, बिल्डेस्क हो, बहुत सारे फैंटास्टिक स्टार्टअप्स और यूनिकॉर्न्स वहीं पे हैं। ड्रीम 11 का ऑफिस देखो, आई वाज शॉक्ड कि वो उसने इतना बड़ा ऑफिस बनाकर, एंड ही इज मेकिंग श्योर दैट पीपल फ्रॉम बैंगलोर एंड एवरीवन इज कमिंग देयर in Mumbai and working over there. So वो जो perception है कि बैंगलोर में सब कुछ मूव हो रहा है, now people are very determined कि मुंबई में वो मूव हो। so वो चेंज और उसकी स्टोरीज और वो इंगेजमेंट्स जो होगा वो हम लोग अभी एम्पलीफाई करना शुरू करेंगे, because I think that was the case but it's not anymore the case. That is changing and I think we should all be aware that is changing.
I would just like to add here, Shraddha, that when we talk about getting things in Maharashtra has one very good. We have a very good footprint, and that is leadership of women and women-led enterprise. I think if we take that as taking a pride of that, that would be really, really very important. That is one. And it's not going from Bombay to Bangalore, right? My thing is कि महाराष्ट्र में सिर्फ बॉम्बे ही नहीं है ना, बहुत कुछ महाराष्ट्र में है। और मैं इसमें थोड़ा ऐड ये भी करना चाहूंगी कि and this is my personal, I mean when Ravi you were saying no that everybody from Patna they are going to Bangalore or somewhere, तो मैं अपना एक एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करना चाहूंगी कि when we were setting up a technology in a bank, मानदेशी महिला बैंक, तो फ्रॉम रिजर्व बैंक टू यूपीआई उन्होंने सबने कहा कि आपकी ट्रेजरी ऑफिस बॉम्बे में कीजिए और आपकी टेक्नोलॉजी ऑफिस बॉम्बे में कीजिए, आपको टैलेंट ही नहीं मिलेगा। एंड वी सेड कि हमारा तो आइडिया ही था कि नहीं, गांव में ही सब हेड ऑफिस होगी, हमारी तो ट्रेजरी भी गांव में ही है, स्टॉक मार्केट पे भी बॉन्डिंग, वहां बॉन्ड ट्रांजैक्शन भी गांव से ही होते हैं। So then we decided we are not shifting ourselves to Bombay. And now today I'm so proud to share that Mandeshi has a digital wallet and QR code पे हमारे 25 लाख के ट्रांजैक्शन एवरी डे हो रहे हैं, 20 lakhs rupees transaction every day by village women. I would just say that ये जो बात रहता है ना कि यहाँ टैलेंट नहीं मिलेगा इसलिए यहाँ शिफ्ट हो जाओ, यहाँ टैलेंट नहीं मिलेगा तो यहाँ शिफ्ट हो जाओ, ऐसा होता नहीं है ना, टैलेंट तो शहर में आता है। सो आई डू थिंक कि श्रद्धा व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज सो इम्पोर्टेंट कि क्यों नहीं होगा, वाई महाराष्ट्र में और नॉट ओनली जस्ट बॉम्बे, छोटे, there was a message कि पुणे में क्यों नहीं हो सकता है, औरंगाबाद में you are saying, Ravi. So I am coming down to like we are not even in तालुका headquarter, but हमारा UPI के ट्रांजैक्शन और QR कोड के ट्रांजैक्शन रोज के 25 लाख होते हैं जो तालुका प्लेस भी नहीं है. So I think ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है एंड टैलेंट है.
एब्सोल्युटली. आई थिंक आपने ऑलरेडी सारी पॉइंट्स कवर कर लिए. मैं एक ही पॉइंट बोलना चाहूंगा. मुंबई में एनीवेज रियल एस्टेट की इतनी कमी है. मुझे याद है जब मैं पहली बार 2014 में आया था, उस समय मतलब आई यूज्ड टू पे 4 times द रेंटल फॉर अ 4 times द स्मॉलर हाउस जो मैं दिल्ली में पे करता था. तो मेरा ये कहना होगा. और फिर मैं पुणे गया और मैं शॉक्ड हो गया इन द डिफरेंस ऑफ द क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफस्टाइल बिटवीन मुंबई एंड पुणे. और दोनों एक ही 3 घंटे की दूरी पे हैं. तो एज अ फाउंडर आई थिंक यू हैव टू bring the best of the talent and the resources wherever you are. आज तो इतनी आसानी से आप टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से चीजें कर सकते हैं. इतने महाराष्ट्र की अगर हम बात करें, इतना बड़ा राज्य है. नासिक है, पुणे है, औरंगाबाद है, कोल्हापुर है, शोलापुर है, और भी सारी जगह हैं. आप वहां से बना सकते हैं चीजें. आपको मुंबई, मतलब मुंबई आइए, बिल्कुल आइए. इट्स अ वंडरफुल सिटी. But you don't have to come to Mumbai if you want to build a great company. You can absolutely do it from wherever you are in the Maharashtra, a wonderful state. You have a great leadership here. I think you can take advantage of this leadership, of the vision of the state of Maharashtra. Take that opportunity and make it big from where. आप सोचिए कितना प्राउड होगा आपको आप जब वर्ल्ड फोरम पे जाके बोलेंगे कि मैंने एक बड़ी कंपनी बनाई है अहमदनगर से या नासिक से या शोलापुर से. ट्रस्ट मी, it would not be as proud if you say कि हाँ मैं मुंबई में था, सब कुछ आसान था, मैंने सब कुछ कर लिया. थोड़ा तो मेहनत करिए. सब कुछ आपको प्लेटर पे नहीं मिलेगा, आपको भी हसल करना पड़ेगा.
I want to take this opportunity to especially call out Chetna ma'am, like commendable. Matlab, I really hope and wish that you get all the media attention and front page coverages, ना कि funding की हो कि आपकी हो, क्योंकि जो आप कर रही हैं वो आसान नहीं है. I wish as a country and as people we feel proud there. क्योंकि मैं तो पटना से भाग के आ गई, क्योंकि मुझे तो नहीं रहना था, छोटे शहर में पागल हो जाती. बट ये करना, ये बहुत बहुत मजबूती का काम है. एंड रियली kudos to you. The way you are doing, the way you are building, I hope all of us and everyone watching, listening today should celebrate you. Thank you. Really, मन खुश हो गया कि ये केस स्टडी है हमारे पास.
मैं बहुत फ्लैटेंड हो गई.
आप फ्लैटन मत होइए, आप नहीं होइएगा. जहां जुड़ी हुई है धरती से तो नहीं होंगी, बट कहना जरूरी है क्योंकि हम बड़ी बड़ी फंडिंग और ये सब कह के ये दिस इज द स्टोरी, दिस इज मोस्ट माइन एंड दिस इज फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. सो थैंक यू फॉर शेयरिंग दिस.
So I think the point being raised, see, one of the key principles, the underlying principles that good governance is also about equity. I think equity is a very important pillar of any public policy of social development, economic development. And that is why I completely resonate with this conversation that is happening, that we do need to celebrate the unicorns and incubated in Maharashtra. But their value is, as inspiration. Their value is as inspiration to share their journeys, and since most of them are also coming from other towns, and how they have made big, and so to show these bold dreams that it is possible for anyone to achieve it. But at the end of the day, our job is actually, with likes of all of you, is to see that there is an ecosystem not only in Mumbai but across the state, and we can create regional hubs. Around, of course, there is a lot of factors that have to come together: technology, the professional talent, economic activities, quality of life, affordability. All these are factors which are institutional support. All this is required to create a good ecosystem. But I am very sure that Maharashtra has the potential to kind of penetrate and have this kind of ecosystem, which with the concerted effort, I think we can make equity as one of our guiding principles. And then that gender lens also has to be there, because we have created very strong foundations of SHG networks across the state. And Maharashtra was the first one to create, state level, even the federations, right, from village to taluka to district level of SHGs and until the apex. There are registered bodies of women. There is a culture of, I would say, more women friendly kind of environment, safe environment, encouraging environment, even family support, despite some distortions which happen in our social structure, in a patriarchal thing. But Maharashtra is that way, more progressive. Right from the beginning. And therefore, I think both this emphasis on equity as well as on women entrepreneurship, we will be, on our part, we will be taking many more initiatives in future, and we'll be looking forward for your support.
Thank you, ma'am, for for all those promises which must have motivated all the innovators over here. So now we are at the end of the session, and I would like to invite our CEO, Dr. N. Ramaswamy, for vote of thanks, just to give a brief about sir that he was. So we all had gone through a bad patch during COVID. So he was health commissioner, and he has seen the startup and innovation implementing on ground overnight and during a very short time. So over to you, sir. Maybe you would like to share your experience about innovation and guide everyone.
And before Dr. Ramaswamy's vote of thanks, let me just personally extend a vote of thanks to all of you. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with all of you. It's been a tremendous learning, and I do hope that we'll continue to have these dialogues.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. And concluding this, I also want to tell you that it is very encouraging. I don't want to use the gender lens, but to see a woman in power and making things happen. And again, I want to call out, because call out nahi hota hai zyada, ye sab cheezein, but it is an inspiration to all of us. I've told you before that you are an inspiration, and please continue inspiring, because you are a woman who's making things happen. So thank you, and it was a privilege to attend this. But Ramaswamy sir, iske chalte ye nahi keh rahi hu, men are not happening, but I'm just saying.
No, it's entirely the credit to the team.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Shraddha. Today is an amazing day. It's a National Startup Day. We have many more things lined up for our Startup and Innovation Society. So today is the launch of our Maharashtra Startup Day Acceleration Program. I thank our Honorable Minister, Sri Mangal Prabhat Lodha ji. Despite his busy schedule, he came to Mantralaya, he attended the program, and he joined online also, though he was traveling. And his insistence on this participation of rural India, rural Maharashtra in this startup and all these innovations, invariably he mentions whether it is skill or innovation or startup, whatever it is. So his passion for that focus towards rural Maharashtra is very much there. And today, Honorable Madam had guided all this program, and I thank Honorable Manisha Verma Madam. And I especially thank all the guest speakers who are all authority in your own field. Mr. Hari, I was reading his book on the other day, and he's going to run our program, Artha program in Maharashtra. And I hope that we will find too many startups and innovators in Maharashtra taking help of this program. In fact, as Madam had mentioned, in that virtual incubation program only, we are planning to integrate this Artha program so that we can reach out to as many people as possible in Maharashtra with this quality guidance from people like Mr. Hari. I especially thank Chetna ma'am. In fact, I was collector of that district. I have seen her working there. In fact, we worked together in Scarcity also in 2011. She was running a big cattle camp. So just to mention that we were using technology that time also to the maximum possible. In every cattle camp, there used to be some scam, irrespective of the state. But we started using barcoding of counting of animals in the camps. So this was the first camp we started there. So people always used to keep more animals than what is required in the camp because everything is barcoded. We used to take a laptop and we used to just scan all the animals. So if I found lagging 50 animals, I used to find them from day one to the initial checking to the next checkup. So they always used to keep more animal, and she ran the largest cattle camp in Maharashtra that time. That was a terrific year. So she did a lot of work in that water conservation also. She asked me, sir, what can we do during this this scarcity period? So I said that we will go for watershed development and water storage. She brought a lot of CSR funding from HSBC Bank and other things. I think now she used to send me photos also. It is like flowing rivers in Mankata. Once used to be a very dry place. And I thank Chetna Sinha Madam for her valuable inputs, experience, and especially for the rural women and women-led enterprises. It's an amazing experience of yours, which will be beneficial for the state and the country. And Shraddha, anyway, your story though is known, but we need more and more of stories from Maharashtra in your story, and we are working towards that. And anyway, we'll be having our program also in March. We are looking forward, and thank you so much. And Mr. Ravi Ranjan is an amazing experience sharing, and most of the questions are related to angel funding. Means we are slowly moving towards funding level. So from the ideation to now we are moving towards funding stage. And I thank all the participants. It is YouTube live today, and so other than the participants, we have called all our incubatees and startup week, startup yatra winners, and this is being recorded also. This we will be using for guiding our entrepreneurs in Maharashtra. As we have discussed, it is not only about unicorns or stories from big cities. It is the small and many enterprises which can generate, as Mr. Hari had said, even an employment generation of 5 to 10 will solve the issue of unemployment, and economic development of the country will reach to the next level. And as a state, we assure the participants and the speakers also that Maharashtra is still the leader in startup. We are having 18% of our recognized startups in the country in Maharashtra, 23% of unicorns in the country. And there is always a competition. It is a healthy competition, whether it is Bangalore or Chennai or Delhi or whatever it is. But we will not leave any stone unturned to retain our leadership position. And I hope, as Madam had requested, I am requesting again to all the speakers to share your experience and mentor our students. As soon as our platform is ready, then we will request you for the mentorship of the startups in Maharashtra, and the amazing work done by my team in organizing this program and running the entire startup society. I thank them here once again, and it's really an amazing program and very apt for our startup day celebrations. I thank all of you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shout out to the entire team, Neil, Amit, everyone. You guys are doing phenomenal job under wonderful leadership. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With the permission from the dignitaries, I confirm that the program is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a good discussion, despite being online. It was quite nice,
Quite
interactive,
interactive.
and
Yeah, very
engaging.
Engaging, and it's the clientele is like that only. So they have reached to that level that they need much more quality guidance.
Zoom meeting and click the leave button.